I've always loved the look of this Matchbox 4x4 Chevy van. So when I recently got a couple of these in a box of junk cars, I knew I really wanted to try to restore one of them. There's something about the colors, the big swoops over the arches of the wheels. Um, I also laugh at Matchbox Racing. Since as a kid, Hot Wheels cars smoked Matchbox cars. But I just love the look of this. So I thought I'd give it a shot. Had to pick which one of those I wanted to do. The one on this side that you see right here is the one I end up choosing to work on this time. So once I had it picked out, I go through the usual procedures. It has the one post at the front, one nice big post at the front, and two tabs at the back of the van that pop into place that keep it together. As you see there were two posts that kept the glass in place. There's this plastic piece that there's two posts holding that in too. They really like two posts on everything except the car itself. So, I have to drill those all out to get the excess of those posts off so I can get the glass out. And the glass isn't in great shape, but it's not cracked or anything like that. So, that's what's important. And, I'm not going to go crazy on this restoration, but part of it is that I couldn't find replacement decals online for it. So part of the reason I wanted to do it was try and come up with some on my own. Have some fun with that. And I keep trying to learn how to do that better and better. And this was a good chance to work on that. I recently came up with some decals for the Bond Lotus Esprit. And so I thought I could do that for this too. So there you see it after I've, stripped the casting, and now it's time to drill and tap that front post. And so I do that in the usual way, use a 256 screw on it, because again, it's a nice size post. So it's a very nice casting to work with. And when you work on a van casting, there's some reason, and it's happened for me before, where I work on a van casting of some kind and it makes me want to do more vans. And who knows? Maybe I will. So, this thing needs a little cleaning up. It's a rough casting as far as casting lines go. And so it's that weird thing when I do some restorations, I don't want to clean them up too good, because that's not how the original was. And yet I don't want them to be horrible. So, I clean up some of the casting lines and stuff on here and get it looking a little better, and try and remove anything that was caused by use. Any wear. If I can remove markings from that, sure. But, I clean up along the two roof edge lines, there was a lot of excess casting material. So, that I try and clean up as best as I can. And clean up some other areas, just as usual. And clean up, like you see here, cleaning around the windows, that kind of thing. Any little extra flash that really shouldn't be there, typically isn't there. So just the basic cleanup kind of thing. Same thing on the base itself. Metal body, metal base. As you saw when I took it apart, there is no interior to this. It's just top of the body, bottom of the body, glass. Well, wheels. The wheels. But we'll get to that in a minute. There's just something about Matchbox wheels. Anyhow. So once I get it all filed, cleaned up, I'm going to hit this with a solid color. So it's not like I need to polish the body or anything like that. I clean it up, throw it in the IPA, isopropyl alcohol, to clean the casting up prior to painting it. I do end up painting it with the white lacquer that I love so well, the Krylon specialty lacquer. After I put decals on, I hit it with that clear lacquer at the right. I did go into Adobe Illustrator and created a set of decals for this. I exaggerated the swoops a little bit on the back, as you'll kind of see when I go to put this on. I cut out the little hole for the porthole window before installing this decal on there. The colors aren't exactly the same as on the original casting. These are laser printed decals, and I tried to hit that color as best I could. I'm far from an expert at that kind of thing. And the colors aren't as vibrant as they would be if they were painted. But I'm surprisingly thrilled with the results. So there you see, I have one side on at this point. I have the Matchbox on the roof in place. And I ended up doing the other decals. I had hit the wheels with Tamiya semi-gloss black. This is after cleaning them and everything. Hit them with semi-gloss black and then did the chrome areas with the silver Sharpie. So they aren't really a chrome as much as silver, but I like the look. I hit the base that you see there with Krylon Black Specialty Lacquer. I'm really liking the Krylon Specialty Lacquers, and in fact, I have Krylon Clear Gloss on its way to give it a try, because if it's anything like the black and white, I'm going to be thrilled with it. There are some other clears I'm going to give a try here in the not too distant future, because that Worth that I have been using has been difficult to get. Whoa! Yeah, it's always a pain when you have to balance things when you go to install wheels. Though, you have to have both sets of axles in place before you put this plastic piece onto the posts. And, I'm a wee bit clumsy. So once that's in place, I do just hit it with the CA glue. It works great. I wasn't going to put screws into those posts. I suppose I could have, if I was insane. I just didn't want to put that much effort into it, and the CA glue is going to hold it just fine. As far as the glass goes, I did polish it up with flits, as you see here. I didn't do anything too intense. I polished it up by hand. And there's a lot more polishing than you're going to see in this little clip of the video. But I went over it a few times. I didn't sand it or anything like that. I just went with the polishing, and then it was gauzy time. Knowing that the gauzy would put a nice thick clear coat on it as well. Again, that's one of the reasons more often than not I use gauzy than pledge. I do have both. I'll use pledge if I want a real light coat. But in many cases, I want a heavier coat that gauzy will give me. And truly, these, a jar of gauzy lasts you forever. I'm doing one car a week maybe. So, I've had these jars, I have 2 jars of gauzy. And each of them is probably half full. And they're probably still going to last me years. So as far as the glass goes, once it had dried, everything was all set. I've clear coated the body with the decals at this point. I use the resin pin, the Bondic resin pin is the one I use. And again, this is like the same Bondic pin you've seen me using for a long time, because they're tiny cars. I don't do that many of them. So stuff lasts a long time. The true beauty of doing such small things is even a reasonable quantity of stuff lasts a really long time. Like Super Clean. Like the jug of Super Clean I have. Man, I've had that forever. So here you just hook that base onto those 2 posts at the back, push down on the front, and put the screw in it. Not a whole lot to it. But it's funny. I'm really happy with this build. It's not a complex build by any stretch of the imagination. I spent way too much time working on these decals. I worked from pictures of the original casting and then cleaned those up as best I could in Adobe Illustrator. And some I just flat out created, like the wording for racing and BF Goodrich. That's just choosing a font that's close to what's there and doing that. Matchbox logo, finding roughly the right one that matches this. You'd be surprised how many different Matchbox logos are out there. Well, there's the original one. Here's how it ended up. You see the exaggerated swoop on the rear there. I like that, though. I think the wheels turned out well. Using a silver Sharpie seemed to work because it's not a ridiculously chrome look to it. It's a nice silver look. Didn't detail anything like headlights or anything like that to be most like the original. So it's a restoration, kinda, with taking a few liberties along the way. Again, like the colors of the decals, you can see that it's not as vibrant as the original casting. But if you're just looking at this sitting here, I'm like thrilled with that. And I don't know why I'm so happy with such a simple build, but I am. At the end of the day, hey, that's all that matters. I had fun. So I hope you like this build. I had a blast doing it. Everybody stays safe and healthy out there. And I'll catch you in the next one.